Welcoming you all to the Ascension Alchemists podcast. It's your host, Reverend Honey Borden, and
Michael A.
much love. Trusting all of you are well on this last week of January. And we are sure all of you that are our beautiful listeners are having a beautiful last week of January. And also, you have been well, the ones that are in the US, you've been navigating the snowstorm, ice storm, all safely and peacefully. As today we're gonna talk a little bit about this ice storm that really captivated so many people's attention. We're also going to talk about the continuation of celebration theme that we are on, and one part of the event that we had with our private community, how the experience of that was. And also we're going to have a bit of a discussion regarding the true prosperous state of beingness, which we got to mentor today in our mentorship series that started actually today. And we also will share a little bit about when it comes to relationships, what happens when like there's a bit of a disruption and then we can't put things into production. So we'll just speak on behalf of that as well. So this is the Ascension Alchemist podcast, and the focus is always aligning with Mighty God presence and embodying that truth and embodying that eternal presence into our life, into our human self, and walking this life with that, which with it comes all the ebb and flow and all the mishaps and the ups and the downs, which we get to bring God presence into situations. Some days we do really well, and sometimes we frankly just don't. So as a community, this is what this podcast is about, to speak to the walk of life.
Welcome. Thank you, honey. I feel like this last week of January, there's been a lot happening, so to speak. And we're very grateful for each and every one of you that are joining tonight all across the world, and even those that are in America, that we really got to see how this huge storm that affected millions across the country, that came across in not only freezing sub-below temperatures, but what we saw for the first time in a very long time was a massive snowstorm followed by ice that literally shut everything down for 24 hours. And there's this metaphor that I'm sure many can see, is that storm on the outside that comes in a beautiful wintry, wondery land, how that doesn't have to create a storm with the inside. But always great to see how we can navigate that, because when we do navigate that, our ultimate responsibility is within ourselves and our frequency and our God-led ability not to let anything on the outside, because we're fully responsible for within, which at times can be very easy, as Honey said, but other times it can be challenging. Sometimes we can be caught off guard, or things can happen and surprise, and this is where we really appreciate each and every one of you for listening and to remembering that, because we love to be raw, real, and authentic, to share what's happening and what's expanding in this beautiful journey that we're all on.
So this week has been really cold in temperature. I usually take my walks every morning. So this week I found I got to walk a couple times, because one part of it is because of ice. It's kind of challenging to walk in the areas, like there's so many streets that are still not clear, so you have to use the street to walk. And that's also really interesting. to experience this level of cold air hitting the lungs. Today, when I was going for a walk, I had to put my sweater, my turtleneck actually over my face, cover my nose.
Was that cold?
It was so cold. Yet it was so wonderful because the contrast of the sun hitting my face felt so luminous. And the sounds of the birds. There was this one area when I was walking by the lake, because the birds usually get on the ground to eat whatever they're eating with the squirrels, because the entire ground is covered with ice that has not yet melted, they were on the trees. So you could hear the tripping sounds of like an orchestra of birds, which was so beautiful. By the way, speaking of birds, a lot of you know we have budgie pets. Their names are Jujuberry. Most of you know about Jujuberry, our miracle bird, and the other one is Pineapple.
His girlfriend.
So we just discovered this actually. I just have to mention this. We discovered that there were scientists in Japan that discovered when there is a sound of bird that an individual listens to or hears, their frontal cortex actually experiences this relaxing. What did it say?
It spoke how it not only activated, but there's the genius side in the prefrontal cortex of your brain that brings this natural peace, relaxation, and like the way she said it was like it was an area that brought us greater into alignment.
Yeah, so it was talking about how the sounds of birds bring, because of its that nature, because of its frequency, the way it impacts the body. So a lot of scientists have been talking about, like for example, the purring of the cats, what it does for the body. So they discovered this, and they started to implement the sound of bird inside classroom for elementary school. And they found that the classrooms that had the sound of birds, gentle sound, those students did much better in school in terms of learning and what have you. So, and I grew up, my first pet when I was even one was a bird. So I've always had birds like finches and cockatiels and all kinds of birds, and I'm very drawn to birds. And I would always open the window just so I can hear that first sound of the bird in the morning, because it does something for me that I could never put into words. Yet I could just feel like there were days that I would wait around that 5 a.m, just so that from the pure joy to hear that first sound of the bird, and I would like experience this pocket of like extreme joy inside of me, because I recognize that birds represent this freedom and joy that I would experience on the inside. So when I heard this, I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Not that I need it. I could feel the beauty. And we're just so blessed to have Jujuberry and Pineapple, their sound in our apartment all the time.
It was almost like when we heard that, we got the reminder that the sounds of the bird help regulate the central nervous system, because there was that calmness. And it's interesting because even as one would imagine, there's this moment where springtime comes, even though it's winter, where Honey and I get so giddy because we start to hear these birds in the morning. And it's like the first sound of the day. And when you first wake up and you're in that half dream state, and then you just hear these sounds of the birds, and it's like almost like this call, like they're communicating to you, and all of a sudden you smile. There's this like giddy feeling because
it's enchanting,
like there's something. So it's amazing how scientists have reported how that activates us in a way that brings us back to our natural state of being, let alone regulate our nervous systems. That was really wonderful that was brought up, that you discovered, Honey, about the birds. And what is interesting, when you went on the walk, I too recognized, for those that are in cold climates and when they see snow, there's such this brilliant level of whiteness. And when the sun comes out and the sky is blue, it's like the sun is emanated so much brighter that when it hits the sun and hits your face, it feels like you're like in the brightest, highest level of frequency of light that only makes you smile. It's like
Yeah.
everything around you is like so bright, so white. And I feel like when all that whiteness is covering the land, it's like this feeling of innocence, purity, calmness, magic. Like it's
Yeah,
like it feels
really
like
magical.
it's like it felt like it's like in the fall and winter we see the grass changing from green to gray, the trees get empty. So sometimes it creates that dull feeling. But when the whiteness comes, there's like this metaphor where it magically covers everything. And then for most in this area, they saw that the ice actually created this glaze over the snow, so most people could actually walk on top of it. So when you see this white snow with this crystal ice on top of it and then the sun reflecting it, it just emanated this beautiful effervescent light that for me, it just brought me to a whole other frequency that I came back so filled with joy and happiness. And part of it's because sometimes when you're in for a couple of days and then you see the sun that bright and a blue sky so brilliant that you're filled up. And I feel we all have that experience when we're around nature. It automatically releases those hormones within us, those endorphins, because we connect to Mother Nature. And I feel we are Mother Nature, so when we get to enjoy it, it only elevates us into our happiness.
You know what's happening to me as you're saying this? There's something else that's coming to me. So snow is made out of water, right? It's the precipitation that's crystallized. So being outside, for example, today, even though it was really cold,
Single digits, right?
right, and the sun was so bright, it was like this blinding. It really reminded me in Afterlife, and when that blinding light before I met Yeshua, it was so bright. You can't even look at it. It's so piercing. Can't even open your eyes. It's that level of brightness, and when it reflects in the snow and ice, it reflects even more. So there's all this water consciousness, right? That's frozen and crystallized. That's everywhere. So when we walk amongst it, there is this depth of awareness that I found to be super heightened.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is when we went to Lifetime to work out on Tuesday, in the sauna room, there were all these women. All these women were saying, "Oh my God, we couldn't help ourselves. When the snow came, we just needed to get out. We needed to get out." And we were having this conversation. So there is this, even though they tell you not to get out, there's this, it's almost like we hear the word, we've gotten cabin fever, but that's not it. What's happening, I find, is there's this desire to be out and be purified by the essence of that natural state.
Yeah.
Where you just want to be with here we are in these also bodies that are filled with emotions. Here, this massive amount of snow that tied to emotions. And there's this magical innocence, purity that wants to wash over you. And with it, as you walk in it, you're in the presence of it. So I could hear like the distinct communication of birds that was so heightened, more than ever, the level of their singing. So there's something else that's happening where us within our human form, as we're walking, we're embodying, there's like a deeper truth that we're moving into in interaction within ourselves. And it's so palpable, but may not be necessary that we we are articulating it in language or communicating it. And I wonder, you as our listeners, like what has been, for those of you from Tennessee on, you've been in the, by the way, from all of you in Tennessee, our heart goes out to you. For those of especially like
In
lost,
Texas
oh,
too.
Texas too, the many of the trees that were
Missouri,
frozen
Indiana,
have
Ohio.
fallen on their houses. God bless. Like I know there's a lot of relief fund coming your way, and there's been all kinds of
All of our
experiences
blessings.
with that. So we're in Maryland. We were very, very much blessed by it. We experienced it. Yet still, a lot of people don't have powers and what have you. But let's going back to this. First, our hearts go out for any of you that were affected. And coming back to this, any of you, did you experience when you went out an extra awareness around the purity and the whiteness, and despite that the ice was genetically modified? We're not going to go there, but let's just keep it kosher for this
Well,
conversation.
can I also say this? And this is for those that really capture what I see is the first snowfall of the year. I feel like there's a celebration energy.
Is this the first snowfall?
This is the first snowfall
For
of the year.
us, it was?
Yes. So this is, so what I see is many of you, when you experience something for the first time of the year and you experience it in the extreme nature, to me, it's like this arousal of the senses. There's this increase of frequency that helps. And for me, what's always been the joy of snow is when you see it for the first time. There's this celebration energy that comes out. I even like woke up super early in the morning to look outside to see how many inches we got, because of course many times it happens early in the morning. So I jumped out of bed like a little kid and looked out. I was like, okay, it's coming down. Let me go back to sleep. But I couldn't sleep. And immediately I wanted to go out, because I didn't have my sled or a hill to find. I just started wanting to shovel. Yet it felt like there was like this, like Honi said, this blanket of whiteness. And all of a sudden there was like this celebration where I went out. All of a sudden there were community members. They were shoveling. I was helping shoveling them out of the car. We were helping neighbors choose where the snow was going to go from the plow. And there was like this unity of like when something happens and we're all together, we're helping one another from our hearts because it only feels natural. Yet the next day when it was super blue, it was bright, I couldn't help smile from that celebration of like, wow, look how amazing Mother Earth looks in her beauty, because she's dazzling. And right now we're not really paying attention to what's happening outwardly, but we know there's a lot happening which we don't give attention to. Yet the trueness of Mother Earth, when she's covered by snow for the very first time, I don't know how you feel, honey. I feel like I'm a little kid and I just want to celebrate it in a way where I get to enjoy every little asset. Even like I saw these red winter berries. I spoke to my mom today.
That was so beautiful, the picture you took.
Imagine you're walking and you usually see red maybe during the spring, maybe during the summer, late fall. Imagine everything's white and then you see these red stark winter berries, and with that reflection I was like, wow, even in the midst of cold where everything of nature has gone into hibernation, there's these red remarkable berries that's growing. And I was like, look at the jewel and treasures of winter.
Have you seen those same berries but that are in violet purple? Oh my, it's like
is it during
stream.
winter? Is it during winter?
Yeah, it is astonishing to see the color.
I didn't see that. I just saw the red, but
I know the red ones are I've never
but I'm
seen
also
these
noticing
ones
like the trees are like, there's something on the snow of yellow. And I noticed like when I was walking, and I don't know if it was from the birds or from the trees, but it's funny when the whole ground's white, you can really see what falls on the snow. And
That's so
and
true.
today, like when I went out, like you, honey, it was like the animals almost were celebrating because the snow was over and they're all kind of finding their niche after you have like 9-10 inches with like another 2 inches of ice over. So that was our level of initiating that, and then moving into that celebration energy. We had that opportunity to like raise that with what we felt called in our association to bring a celebration circle.
Yeah, so this whole year has been the theme of celebration. So some of you have been watching my YouTube channel with the celebration series that I have. Then we talked about celebration, how we are embracing the theme of celebration and celebration as life. And we kick-started this past Tuesday, it was, no, Monday.
Yeah.
Right, Monday, we kick-started part of our private community.
Go back to day 1 of January when we first woke up.
That's right.
We both looked at each other, and what did we say, honey? We said, we looked at like, what does 2026 represent? And remember, we both got quiet.
Our key.
But we both said the same thing.
Yeah, celebration.
Yeah.
The theme is celebration.
And we both recognized that from day 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it was like a precursor, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, was a precursor of what that celebration energy started, which then led into.
Well, we knew with this, I remember I was like, Michael, we need to have a celebration circle for our private community, those who are members of our Ascension Alchemy Association, that private community. We knew how important it was to be able to have a special gathering once a month that really represented that true essence of celebration and make a big deal out of it. Yeah. Actually go out and exaggerate it even more, stand behind it more, not in a way that, not in a fake way, but tap into the moreness of it and celebrate the wins and
the inner celebration, right?
Well, it is the inner celebration. So that Sunday, I did release my YouTube video on celebration, which the theme was how important it was to celebrate the small wins. Because I don't think you watched that video. Because a lot of us want to celebrate the big wins of life. A lot of us want that. However, when we haven't actually allowed the small celebrations of life, the wins, and truly allow the experience of celebration on the inside, in the body, we will block the bigger things that want to come into our life to be celebrated. And I had to learn this the real hard way, especially because, if you grew up being told, for example, that, don't celebrate too much, you're going to make other people uncomfortable. Or, okay, so you celebrate that, just be satisfied. What is that? You don't need to have more than that. Anything, there's a lot of judge, and also a lot of being shamed if you wanted to celebrate something. So no, be humble, don't show, don't express. So these are so many of these things that I've had to reprogram out of me, and to recognize celebration. When I am celebrating, I'm standing behind the creation that created. So I'm tuning into that, and I'm standing in agreement with that to allow it to vibrate as a frequency. So it was so great that on Monday, we launched our first celebration circle for the community. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
It was so fun because each person got to reflect on January what it was within them that they celebrate. Because yes, it's normal to look outward, the achievements, the areas, but what we really focused was, what are the wins within you? What are the areas that you felt so excited? And it was beautiful because as we did that, I put the Kool and the Gang song, like, celebrate good time. And so we were like dancing with him. And the whole point was, it's one thing to support an individual, but when you're celebrating as a group, you're really bringing forth that potential within them and then emanating it. And most important, amplifying. And that was so wild because even one of our members wasn't feeling well, and by the end of the circle, her energy was so high that she was like, all of a sudden being like, wow, I could not believe that my symptoms of my cold, or what we call cleansing, started to shift. And it was wild because that celebration energy, it's contagious, and we feel it's so important that we share it in ways that it elevates it, because truly we see God's energy as celebration, because this life is a celebration. You are a celebration. And to bring forth that, we know that celebration is really gratitude emotion that's elevating us each day. And the more that we can focus on that, what I've learned personally through celebration, honey, is it starts to really fuel my own trust within, my own ability to believe within. Because is it interesting how sometimes we don't celebrate the small wins? And then once we start piling the small wins up, it's like, wow, I did this. There's this internal feeling that of support, of honor and respect. And before I know it, trust, faith, belief, it starts moving, because within it's like, wow, that celebration of God is emitting that within, and that's just elevating higher and higher and higher.
It's so important, because I remember there were so many times, my God, there was so many wonderful things that happened. And for me, it's like, okay, that's nice. And I would go move to another one, move that. But I wouldn't actually truly allow myself to digest it.
Why?
So this is really good that you said that. So one of the things that I learned, I remember there was this beautiful, beautiful, miracle intuitive man, the one I mentioned to you before. One day I was having a session with him.
Is this right here in Catlin? The one?
Yeah, that one, yeah. So he said to me, it was so interesting. He said, "You're a very powerful woman, honey." I said, "Yeah, okay, so what?" And then he said, "But here it is." He's like, "It's like, here is the energy that comes into you, but it passes you by because you actually won't let it in."
Wow. That's
and I said it that. He's like, because you just give it out. You won't even receive it. And I said that I said, of course not. Yeah, I has to give it out. Like, why? Like, I have more than enough. He said, "But do you see what your problem is?" I said, "No, I don't have any problems." I had a lot of attitude around it too. He's like, you actually won't let yourself celebrate. And then it dawned on me, because growing up, there was a lot around. So there was a lot around. My mom never celebrated birthdays, and it was like she's such a huge challenge around birthday, or my brother. And so, of course, in my life, the way I did it for my children, I celebrated birthday. I did a lot of that for them, but I celebrated myself too, but like the wins, it was just like, okay, so I'm just good at it, so I'll move forward. I'm good. Yeah, there are a lot of things I'm really good at. No problem. So I just know it. But I wouldn't allow celebration, because on the inside, this is many years ago, on the inside for me was, if I celebrate, that means I'm feeding my ego. And if I celebrate, that means like I am...
You're putting yourself above others?
Well, no, it was like because it tied in the upbringing. If I celebrate, that means like I might be jinxed, or I might be getting the evil eye. I'm from the Middle East. There was a lot of that. So I'm just going to just pass by it, like not allow it. And this took me a long time actually to unprogram and come out, until I started having a relationship with God and God Almighty. And whenever I would tune with God, it was such a nectar of celebration. And I realized how much I was denying myself from that joy. I was literally cutting myself from that supply of that nectar. And then, surprising enough, I wanted to seek that, what I so wanted from outside.
By doing it to others.
To others, I would give it, but I so longed for it on the inside for me, but I was also cutting it off. And it was such a huge eye opener.
And you know what I'm receiving right now, especially from what we did today, is that celebration is such an opening for us to receive. And when you really look at it, when we celebrate, we're opening up the blessing. that blessing is opening us up to celebrate the vessel that's holding the energy of that infinite, what we spoke about today in prosperity, that it's allowing that feminine nature, that ability to fully be open, to allow and to receive. And for many of us, including myself, isn't it so much easier to give? It's so much easier to focus on everything else. But we know the laws of the universe and God is giving and receiving are in equal nature. And if we're giving so much, we forget to receive, we forget to celebrate. So we know that this celebration energy is not only contagious, but it's allowing ourselves to open to our greatest prosperity, which today, what did we do?
Well, before we talk about that, so speaking of celebration, we want to celebrate those of you who are our listeners. We truly invite you in two areas to come and celebrate with us. Join our community if you're not part of it already. Take part in our monthly celebration. We have our Monday night, our I Am Presence meditation, which is very exclusive to our community. That is all about embodiment, and that's a celebration. We also have prayer circle that's so powerful. We have everyday content. Then we have another meditation that Michael does, and then we have this one. So join, and it's a very easy one, and take part with us with the activities that we have. There's always one of the things that we did with our community. This whole community of Ascension Alchemy is founded on celebration, because there's so much love that we pour into it for our members, so our members are celebrated. So that's where all the inspiration comes out. So the information is very easy. You can look it up on our website, ascensionalchemist.com. Go on their association, and it's easy steps to follow to join us.
And then what's so amazing is now we're opening up our association for others that want to join some of the great opportunities that we just presented today is in a beautiful prosperity mentorship that's not only open for our members, but are open for other individuals to join.
Yeah, well, so what Michael is saying is, in our Ascension Alchemy Association, we have 4 tiers, 4 different levels you can choose from. So part of the second level or second tier, we launched today our monthly mentorship. And this particular mentorship, you've seen some of the videos on our social media, which is all about, the kickstart of it was living was actually true prosperous living. Right. So we dove so deep into this space, and it's a 1-year mentorship. Every single month we're going to go in here,
which people can also join.
Yeah, so if you don't have to be a member, you can be public. You're not part of our association. You can still sign up. Each month is $188, so you can easily come join, experience it once, or experience all of it as you like. What the key of it is, today we launched it because the fundamental essence of it, which is that true prosperous state of being, comes from God Almighty. So we kick-started with that. Yet the frequency of it, again, falls on celebration.
Isn't it amazing? Because that frequency goes exactly with being open, being receptive. And what we see is this constant flow in circulation of this infinite God Almighty force that we are so grateful to be the conduit of. And to really, what you said so elegantly today, is to get and be the blessing that God has placed upon us. And many of us, we've looked at prosperity somewhat in this physical plane as maybe the material world, our possessions, finances, yet it goes so much deeper. I mean, it's one part.
One part of it, but it's
one facet.
But the area that the lens that we're talking about is
so much greater.
So much greater.
And it's okay for those to see that, because we were only taught, programmed, and conditioned from a limited perspective of what prosperity is, because we've been deemed prosperity, is about money, is about finances, and that's one part. Yet when we look at it from a higher aspect and we see such in depth of what that natural innate flow is within us, then it really starts to open up the opportunity to see how fortunate, how amazing that we are that within us. And like you said today, I loved what you said today, honey. You said you don't have to do anything. You don't have to push. You don't have to hustle.
None of it.
You just allow, which again, celebration, allowing and opening to that sacred God Almighty force of energy.
And that's what like this. So we have this as mentorship, which is very different than teaching. So there's a component that we teach in here. So there's the essence of it. So each month there's the deeper essence, there's a teaching factor of it. But this is an actual mentorship, which is such an incredible, unique opportunity because it's on the energetics and the frequency and activation of what this is. It's already in there, but individuals don't quite understand it energetically. So within this space, I get to actually live mentor a person regarding an area in their life to help them attune into that the presence of that prosperous beingness. And that is a tremendous value for you as a group, because otherwise, as a private client, you're going to have to pay me a lot of money to learn this, for me to do this for you.
Which was so great today because
we really wanted to make this available for you. And today's teaching is also available on replay. You can email us at info@ascensionalchemists.com because you're still going to get the teaching, the impact, all of it is available. And join us for next month.
And to give individuals the real raw level is, imagine that you get to not only participate, to feel, but to look within your life where prosperity may not be flowing into relationships, into career, into aspects of your body that are not fully aligned with the divinity that you are. And so I thought today was an amazing opportunity to see people really look deep within to see how can that
our participants really
of it, because it's truly what I felt today is an expanded version of what we've always known what prosperity is, but to a greater level.
I feel it was like today, it was so beautiful to see the participants it's like the veil open up in them, or the cap open up for them to experience it differently. So it's available, ascensionalchemists.com. Be sure to email us so you can get started with us in January and go through the year with us. Give yourself the opportunity to allow this experience of prosperous state of being together with us. And it's amazing when you're in a group that is, the container is so safe and pure, and how you can together allow that presence in you and watch what unfolds in your life. So that's available to all of you.
It's the last Wednesday of each month. So mark your
At
calendars
3 p.m.
now at 3 p.m. Every last Wednesday of each month at 3 p.m. It is an hour. And what I would say, it's such an heart-opening, expansive way to what I see is elevating to our greatest version of ourselves by inviting and knowing what that trueness is within.
Yeah, and it was a call. It was a direct call to bring it here. So that's what we have, and that's what we knew we had to open it publicly as well. So we're answering the call, bringing it out, we're putting it out there. It's up to you to take this step. So you choose. It's out there. You decide. And again, don't let it limit you. If you can't take part Zoom live with us, you watch the replay, and it is as effective. There's no difference in that.
And so it's interesting, the flow of the snow in the storm coming through that brought the celebration energy up of witnessing it, that opened up the prosperity into what we see as I just feel our natural God-given abilities. And that's what I love about Ascension Alchemist podcast, because I feel there's a remembrance of what is being spoken, and even greater for those that are listening, a deeper activation to hear that truth. And I felt today when working with these beautiful members, there was like this sensation where when we looked at all of their eyes, it was a whole other experience that we get so excited to share, we get excited to teach, and just to serve what we know our mission is. So we're always grateful for each of you to be on this podcast and to listen to all of the celebration, the prosperity, and even the storms that come in and bring forth greater awareness between us.
Yeah, and you are a community here that is allowing, that is growing. And I want to just wrap this up with you sharing that I am right now, today was the second day, also last minute podcast advanced training. I have 2 more days. So there's going to be some little shifts in this podcast coming up. It's very, very exciting. Towards the growth of this podcast, we're just, speaking of celebration, Michael, we are just about to hit our 1,000 downloads. So as this is being recorded right now, which is Wednesday, the 28th of January, we are 30 downloads shy from 1,000 downloads. So for those of you who are listening to this, we thank you. We appreciate you. We celebrate you. We love you. We're so, so grateful that you are advocate of our show and you're listening from so many different countries. Thank you so much. We ask you to please share our podcast with others. If you're finding value in here, share it. And go ahead and leave us somewhere a review. This is why, because we want to celebrate you. So did you know, if you go to whether Apple Podcasts or Spotify and you leave us a review and say, what was the takeaway from this show, for example, take a screenshot of it, send it to us, DM us, you will be entered in our draw for the month of January 31st. We are giving away $111 gift card to a winner. We're going to win. We're going to pick someone as a winner because you automatically enter our draw. So we can celebrate you. And that way we can, for us, it's important to gift out that celebration.
Because we know without this podcast,
to have some fun with this.
You guys make this podcast, the listeners, the viewers, the ones that are part of it. We get excited to share this, and we realize how important community is in celebration, in the prosperity that we get to share together, because we know whatever we're moving through, you're with us in this journey. And we feel very grateful and thankful for each of you that have followed us. So thankful for taking the time to listen today, and just to know that you are a celebration. You are that natural prosperity. You are that glimmering innocence as the snow shines that's within us. And when we get to share this as experience, it really does bring that uplifting love that we just so appreciate to share with each and every one of you.
And as we leave this episode tonight, we just want to remind you, please go to our website, ascensionalchemist.com, join our newsletter. We just started our newsletter this year, and in our newsletter, we do provide certain specials and with the events coming up, so that way you stay tuned with us, and also you can follow in between what are some of the activities that are coming up. So you just go to ascensionalchemist.com and it's there. We're going to put it on the show notes as well. So much love, everyone. Thank you
for being
so
here.
much.
So much blessings to all of you. Thank you for being here for this wonderful night.
Have a beautiful, blessed rest of your last few days of January. And thank you so much for having a very strong start in your 2026. And we trust that you will join us in our community or part of our mentorship. So you'll journey with us so you can go further and deeper in this space. Have a beautiful, blessed night. Much love, everyone. Bye-bye.